Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Renewables podcast, and we've got a bit of a different one today. We've got Aidan Ward from Eco-Power Renewable Energy, and we're going to talk about his journey from a very different career to where he is now and going through loads of things. Me and Mark have just been chatting as well as Aidan, and actually really excited about this conversation. But before we deep dive into that, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm all right, mate. It's been a bit of a busy one. I don't think I've been quite as busy as you, rushing here to come and record this.
Yeah.
So that's the glamorous world of running a business, isn't it? And trying to do the podcast. It's not always easy. So well done for getting it.
If one of my eyes closes, it's not a personal offence to anyone in this room. But yeah, it's been
boring
a tough week. This week has been a month. It's felt like that. But yeah, no, it's nice to be back here as well, because we've had the Installer show on, which came out today as we're filming. And yeah, it's just been, we've been all over the place, haven't we?
We have. It's nice to get a bit of control back on the audio, because that's always the thing that stresses me out with these. Yeah. The Installer show was not easy. Your audio was way better than mine, so well done on that one.
No, it's it was a good one to get out. But yeah, firstly, thanks very much, Aidan, for coming in and chatting about what we're going to chat about, because I know some of the subjects are personal to you, but I think it's going to be really interesting to dive into that, because I think a lot of the conversations that we're probably going to have now are conversations that many people are having behind closed doors, and maybe feel like they're alone in a lot of the challenges that we're going to chat about. So yeah, I'm really interested to deep dive into it.
Really appreciate having me on, mate.
Oh,
really
good.
Appreciate it.
Well, so let's before Eco-Power Renewable Energy started and your journey into it, should we go right the way back to kind of where your career started?
Yeah.
Did your career start in the electrical industry, and where did it all begin?
Yeah, so I left school like any normal teenager, 16-year-old. Luckily enough, fell onto an apprenticeship with a family friend who's still a really close friend of mine. Started that, always knew in my head, I always thought, do you know what, the army's for me, I'll have a go at that. And going through school, told everyone, I'm going to join the army. Don't worry about GCSEs, don't worry about this, I'm going to join the army. Funnily enough, I failed the medical at the first time round of joining the army on eyesight.
Okay.
I had to go and have a few more tests done for my eyes, ended up passing it. But at the time, while that had happened, managed to get an electrical apprenticeship. I was really happy with that. I started working that, doing the electrical apprenticeship, and everything was good. We was house bashing at the time, doing council rewires, so not the most exciting
Cutting
stuff, but getting right into it, hammer and bolster, chopping out, and that sort of thing. And
no chasing machines or anything like that.
Yeah, you had to earn the drill, mate. You had to earn it. If you'd not done time on the bolster, you were either in the loft or picking up dust.
I think my nickname back in the day was Loft Rat, because I've always been quite skinny, and I was always the one get up in the loft and pull the stairs. So yeah.
And I did a fair few months, do you know what I mean? Just being an electrical apprenticeship. Really enjoyed it. But things were changing in the company that I had my apprenticeship with. One of the directors there got a massive opportunity going to Australia to work down the mines, decided that was for him. The other director decided, you know what, probably going to scale back a little bit, do a few different bits, and they did not for 1 minute leave me in the lurch. They always wanted to try and sort me out. But at that time I decided, you know what, in fact, you're going your way, I'm going to go my way. Young, I think at the time I turned 17, decided, you know what, I'm going to rejoin it, go back and reapply for the army. So that's what I did. In my head, fair few times conversations with mum and dad, it was, right, go and be an electrician. Long and behold, didn't have the grades to join the army as an electrician, so that was off the cards. So I joined the infantry, which for anybody who doesn't know is just a soldier. You're just a soldier, that's it. There is different elements once you're in and at battalion and stuff, but just joined as a soldier. In my head, my parents had probably expected me to do your standard 4 years, get out. For me, no. Ended up doing a 10-year career.
Oh. So when did you start that? What year did you get?
I was 17 to 2010 I joined.
Okay.
So joined in 2010 and left 2000. It was like late 2018. Started doing my resettlement 2019. Actually got out 2020. takes like once you've been in for a certain amount of time, it takes like a full year to get out, but you can start doing courses beforehand.
Yeah, because I know a couple of my friends have done nowhere near a 10-year stint, but they'd done their kind of minimum, which is it
4 years, yeah.
They'd done their minimum, and then they were coming out and through they're in various different sort of sections of the army. And was there something where the army kind of tried to help you with courses and things like that?
Yeah, so you get resettlement. So if you've done 4 years, you don't really get much, to be fair. But if you've done over 6 years, you get like a full resettlement package.
Right.
There's a governing body called LCAS, which is like, say for instance, colleges will go on to LCAS and say, we'll list all these courses. So through my LCAS, I got my 18th edition and EV course. So for me, that was, when I was leaving, it was like, right, I want to go back to being an electrician, so I'll do these courses. Along with a load of other courses, I did a self-employment course, which was really good. I did a financial course, really good. But yeah, I decided once I got kids and stuff, it was like, do you know what, now's the time. I'm still young enough to go and do something else. So I thought, right, let's go back into the electrical industry and see what it's about.
So when you were in the army then, I guess, with a family and stuff, were you travelling off on tours and...
Yeah,
I imagine you're not just sat in barracks for 10 years.
No.
A bit more into it than that.
Believe it or not, I was a physical training instructor. Put a bit of clam on now, like, but you know when you train,
I got double what you were.
It's on the road, isn't it? You got to get the Mackies when you get the Mackies. But no, yeah. So you'll have your normal day-to-day job in your camp, in your barracks, and then obviously you've got your field job. So my field job, I was part of a fire support team, so I was like an observer for a team. So attached to that observers, you might have observers would call in artillery, JTACs call in air, and then you've got like snipers, javelin, anti-tank, stuff like that. So part of a really small team. And then you've got like your in-camp role. So your in-camp role, if you're part of a rifle company or part of a company, a battery, just do normal day-to-day jobs. So like servicing, maintaining kit, maybe that's radios, could be vehicles, but then you've got obviously the gym side. So I decided I was really keen boxing and stuff, so I was always quite fit. So decided I want to go down the PTI route. So I did the PTI course. So then what happens is the day-to-day running of the regiment, if you like, you will train the soldiers. So in the morning we'll have PT, then in the evening you might have wives PT, you might have going out joining the local community, helping out at schools and stuff like that. So just like when you're on camp, it's just like a normal 9-to-5 job, just a lot easier because you'll do PT in the morning at say 7:30, and then you'll finish at 9 o'clock. Then you'll have a break till like 10:30, and then you'll finish at 4. Do you know what I mean? And then your evenings are your own. Wednesday's half a day, you do sports on a Wednesday, and Friday's always half a day if you're on camp. So it's quite an easy lifestyle.
So with that then, obviously you mentioned it's an easy lifestyle, and I suppose everyone's experience of it's going to be different. But was there any anxiety about leaving that quote unquote easy lifestyle, how you saw it, to move into kind of the electrical side, which is, as we're testament here tonight, is far from a 9 to 5 or 9 to 4 kind of lifestyle. Did you feel like it was a bit of a risk, or were you kind of hungry for that bit more of a change?
I think I've always been, and we'll come on to it, I've always been a very, very impulsive, hungry child, hungry adult. So I am so motivated. Anything I put my mind to, I'll go and get it, no matter what it is, whether it be this month I'm going to earn £1,000, I would find a way to earn £1,000. Obviously legally, do you know what I mean? I would go and do the right things, but I've always been very driven. So I knew whatever I wanted to do when I got out, I'd be all right, because I wouldn't let myself fail. So for me, it was more, when I'd made the decision to go, I want to leave, it was, I'm excited. Do you know what I mean? I'm excited to see what's next. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do at first. A lot of friends had left and joined the close protection, security and stuff. Weren't really interested in going away again. They were all over in Iraq and stuff like that. And when you've been to them sort of places already, I've done a tour of Afghanistan. The main reason for me why I was getting out was more stability. I was getting posting orders or would you like to go here? Would you like to go here? And it's down south, up north, Scotland, Wales. Not really. I want to got a family now, buy an house, get settled, back to Doncaster where I was from, and just settle down. Do you know what I mean? So even though I knew it was going to be hard, I was really excited to do that.
So those posting orders are to barracks around the country then?
Yeah, so different, as you progress through the ranks, different opportunities come up for different ranks. So, for instance, as a private, you don't really get posting orders unless it's like a driving detail here and there. When you move up, like, for instance, a bombardier, what I were, or moving on to, say, a sergeant or something, they might get a posting order to, say, Harrogate, junior soldiers.
Right.
So going to train new junior soldiers.
I'm with you.
The final one for me was down at Purbright, so like Surrey way. As a PTI there, training new recruits, taking them through PT, physical training, etc. And although at the time it was exciting, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be good, this. I knew I just wanted to get out. And I thought, if I go down there, it's a 2-year posting order, away from the family, we've got to get settled. I've got to realistically say no to that posting order, which really don't go down well. You get like tarnished then as any sort of, they call them Dickens, any sort of spammings what come through. It's, oh, Wardy'll do that, he's just turned that one down, he can have that one. Scotland for 3 week infield or something like that, you know. So I knew that when I made my decision I want to get out, it was like, now's the time. So for me, it was find something I wanted to do. And he won't mind me mentioning his name, Andy, who took me through my apprenticeship to start with, and then he's the guy who went to Australia. Got back in touch with Andy, although we'd always stayed into contact anyway. He's a family friend. He'd done ages out in Australia, came back, and he was like, mate, I'm flat out, like, why don't you just come with me? We'll start off where we finished, really. Come with me. And Andy did everything in terms of industry. The only thing he didn't do was renewables. So Andy was like, I'll give you an opportunity, mate. How much do you need? And that was the best conversation I've ever had with Andy. It was like, I know you've got family. I know you've got your wife, Jade. He came to my house, he sat down, he said, how much do you need to survive? So we sat down, spoke numbers, and he was like, I'll give you that. Whatever you need, I'll give you that. Come and learn with me. Obviously at this point, I weren't qualified. So the courses I could do was 18th edition. I'd got some certificates from college back in the day, which were equated to nothing, like an health and safety course, you know what I mean, like what you do for your ECS. And I was like, mate, this is going to cost me an absolute fortune to get qualified here. But I'd had some money saved, so I was like, although it's going to be tough, like, it's going to be worth it. Mate, how long does it take to get qualified? And he was like, well, for an adult, it's really quite difficult. There's not much funding out there, anything like that. So I use a company who basically, it's like an on-site apprenticeship. And I know in the industry, once I was in it, I was really frowned upon. You'd not done your time as a 4-year apprentice, do you know what I mean? And it was really frowned upon. But the amount of experience that I got with Andy and his line of work, domestic, commercial, industrial, LV, HV, panel boards, containment, everything. I had all the tools to go and be good, but we'd only done little bits of it. You know what I mean? Like, if I'd done tray, I'd only done, say for instance, gripple. If you'd used gripple, I'd only done gripple once. But I knew in my head, that's fine, because I know how to do it. Done it once, like, it's fine. And at the time, COVID hit. So this was out the army now. Out the army, started working for Andy. Really good, no problem. COVID hit. At the time, we were working for a large supermarket chain doing cross-shop lighting, so changing all the LEDs, which was really good, but it was nights. And it weren't consistent because of COVID. So, like, really last minute, we might get told, you can't be in that store on Sunday night. For me, that was really difficult, because even though I was working for Andy on whatever money I was on, it was still sole trader, still self-employed. You're not working, you're not earning. And a job opportunity came up. By this point, we've probably missed an awful lot there. I'd kind of got qualified. I'd done all my MVQ level 3. I'd done my AM2. I'd done my 2391. I'd done an EV course, 18th, got my gold card, really quite proud, you know what I mean? Like,
You should be, yeah.
strutting about the store, like, yeah, I'll change that light.
Yeah. Well, before we move on past that point, then it's a great time to bring you in, Mark, on the whole apprenticeship side of things, because that's kind of your full bag, isn't it?
I mean, what you've just said is so common among lots of people, not just retrainees, but people who've struggled with their apprenticeships, and it's dragged on years. So I've been in the apprenticeship system for maybe 8-9 years. It's mad. And using the routes like you did, it's perfectly legitimate. As long as you do MVQ, your AM2, and you reach that, they call it the EAS standard now. To be a qualified supervisor for the NIC, I think. And you can get your gold card. You don't necessarily have to have one. I've always wanted one. But as long as you reach that standard, you're qualified. So doesn't matter how you get there in the modern world, there has to be a route. And fair play to you, because loads of people don't make it. It's like 70%, I think, as a national average, you drop out on that route you've been on. So, it's obviously led you on to where you are. Do you think, like, that's just in you from being a child, or do you think the military gave you that work ethic to be in that 30% who see it through, and obviously we'll get to the success you've had further down the road, but do you think that was kind of through your military experience? Or?
Yeah, I would probably say so. I think because I joined the army so young, you kind of knocked back to an absolute basic and then built back up into a person, do you know what I mean? They kind of knock you down, build you up. But I always had that drive, no matter what. Like, even through like sport, I was never amazing at anything, but I always there and thereabouts. Oh, he's good, he's all right, because I knew I needed to work hard. So I always tried my best at everything, and the only thing what I didn't try my best at, what I now sitting here where I am today, is education, because the next thing for me is to try and get a degree, and that's simply because I want to, not because I need to. Because I want to, do you know what I mean? I've got that drive. My sister's got a degree. Brother does really well for himself. Like, I would love now to go and get a degree in something. Electrically, the next thing for me is design. I want to do the design course and actually test myself at that. But 100%. I was really proud of passing that AM2.
Should be.
And there's a lot of people out there who fail it. And I failed it first time. And funnily enough, I failed it on the online test, so that was the only element I failed. So I was really dead proud of that. I actually said to myself, if I fail this, it's just experience. For me, it was just experience. As much as it cost and everything was funded by me, if I went and failed that, what's the worst that was going to happen? It was going to give me more experience, because I'd seen it. I'd seen the rigs, the secret rigs. I'd seen all them. I'd experienced it under test conditions, which I'd never done, and it was going to cost me a little bit of money. For me, that was a win-win. I was like, that's fine. If I'm invested in myself, I'm already into this industry. If it's going to cost me a little bit more money, it's going to cost me a little bit more money.
It is one of the most nerve-wracking things.
Yeah.
I went through the 4-year apprenticeship side of things, and it's no easy if you go through that. It's not like, both Dean and Ollie, who Ollie's now self-employed, but they both self-funded through their training, and up until the point that they were hired by me, but up until that point they were self-funded, and the AM2 is one of those nerve-wracking exams. No matter if you've self-funded through as an adult, or if you've gone straight from school up into that point, there's no, if you've gone down a certain route to get to that AM2, it doesn't make it any easier or any less nerve-wracking. It's one of those really kind of time to show what you've got. It's under conditions that you would never ever really experience on site, and it's everyone, no matter what route that they take to that AM2, should be proud of getting through it. And if that means you have to get through it second or third time, whatever, then it doesn't matter.
It's a 35-40% pass rate, I think, at best for the AM2, and that's consistent for decades. It's been like that. So, there's not many people getting through the test.
Isn't it?
It is. Nathan's got his really soon, actually. And he's like, I should be all right, because, there's this space here that he can use and all the rest of it. But he really is walking into the most stressful couple of days. He's like the ignorance of youth, I think, with him. It gets us all.
We just had an apprentice, and he's failed 3 times, bless him. When I say he's failed 3 times, he's failed his galv conduit 3 times. And I'm like, mate, be proud that you have passed all the actual electrical wiring and the knowledge and the fault finding, the testing, the important stuff. Be proud that you've passed that first time. Like, that is some achievement. To be worried about galv conduit comes over time. Like, that's all. If somebody said to me, go make a set in that galv conduit, I'd have to really think about that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because if you don't e-fix videos,
definitely. Because if you're not doing that day in, day out, and it's probably a failure of us, really, for not teaching him well enough for that. Because we don't do it day in, day out. And he practiced, he failed again. Went away, practiced. So it took him 3 times. But I'm like, mate, be proud that you've done the most important bit first time. And he's passed now, he's really happy, and he's off.
Wicked.
He's in the industry on his own now, like they all do. You know, you get qualified and leave you, like I did.
Yeah, it's part
rite of passage, that is. Yeah. I think, like.
No, that's it. But no, that's really good. So that's the kind of the apprenticeship side of things. So you've come out, and you've got all these qualifications. You've started to really kind of stack up those certificates. And so what's next then? So you've gone into business on your own, have you?
So I was working with Andy, and like I say, COVID hit, so it was really difficult. I think if it weren't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have been able to survive. And when I say that, hot tub double sockets got me through COVID. Honestly, you fit a double socket, I think a double socket price in COVID was like £150 or something. But it was just a little bit uncertain. And when you've come from the military, where it's very, very certain, for me, I had a family, kids, and although Andy had done absolutely amazing for me, I was still a little bit uncertain on if we were at work on Sunday. Because it wasn't his fault, he just wouldn't know. And the contract that we had was brilliant, but it wasn't stable at that moment in time. So
you're a subcontractor for Andy?
Yeah, I was always a subcontractor for him. And fair play to him, he kept me busy for all the time that he did. It was just COVID, really. And I needed something a little bit more secure. Really hard, though, when you've got it's all right having all the tickets, but if you've not got the experience in the knowledge, if you like, then it's quite difficult, isn't it, you know? But something come up, and I got offered a job on, I think at the time it was like 32 grand a year, van, fuel card, tools, the works, doing domestic EV chargers. This company had got a contract for a main EV charger manufacturer in the UK, rolling out domestic. It was 2 jobs a day. Never done EV, but I had the EV course, so I qualified there. I was fully qualified at this point in time. Did I have my testing? Yeah, I had my testing as well, which really helped me.
So what year is this? Can you remember?
2000.
Start of EV, really.
2020 it'd have been, probably.
20,
maybe
so
20.
It's going to be fairly early on.
Yeah.
OZEV times.
It was OZEV times for all the grants.
Was it £500?
£350.
Or was it £350?
Per socket, I think.
Yeah, it was 500, wasn't it? And then it dropped to 350, I think, I think it was 1,000 at one point.
When it first came out.
When it really first came out, yeah.
When they paid it. That's
You got your 1,000 or your 500 in 3 months.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I left Andy and went doing that, and that's realistically what rocketed me into the renewable world. The company that we were working for did EV and solar, but I didn't work on the solar side. I just worked on the EV side, and I was just very driven. You know, it was just very much like, do your job, go and do your job, and then it was like, Aidan, can we give you an apprentice? And I'm thinking, giving me an apprentice? Like, I've not even been in the job long, but because I was just doing my job, but I had also had all the experience with Andy, so it was brilliant. Long and behold, through the grant, so they say, this said company went bust, which is known for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Now I've been in the industry and I've seen it. Financials, it's hard times. So they went bust, so I had no choice but to be back on my own. And that's where it started for me, because I was back on my own 2 feet, bought a van, kitted my son out with all my tools, planned on my son in the industry, and linked in and said, hello, I'm ready to work, has anybody got any work for me? Guy contacted me from Rotherham, I won't mention his name, so I don't know if he'll want me to. He had a facilities management company. They were doing a fit out for a main UK car showroom.
So this has gone from the EV charging pretty much day and night now back to
just being
hello,
someone give me some work. Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, he said to me, I've got some EV chargers. What I need doing? He'd not done EV charging, so I was like, oh yeah, we can do that, no problem. So I went over there. I was working. I was on £20 an hour, just on like hourly rate, driving over to Manchester. So it were all right because we were doing like 14-hour days, and he paid travel, so that was brilliant. Did that for about, I think the job effectively initially was 3 weeks, and then he found out we could do a bit more and a bit more. Before we know it, he said to me, can you price the next fit out? He was an electrician by trade himself, but he was growing his own company through facilities management. I'll be honest, I went home and I was like, to my wife, like, what do you think to this? She's like, maybe it's a bit too soon for you. And I was like, yeah, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Like, maybe I just go for it, and if I don't know, surely I can employ other people what do.
So this is too soon to step up from doing a bit of EV charging to like doing the fit outs and more, and too soon in the sense of your experience.
Yeah, 100%. I knew my lane, you know what I mean? I knew where I were at. I knew if I took this on, I needed to get some people in who were experienced and pay them. So I ended up saying through my impulsive behaviour. We'd said and we went down to, this one was in Maidstone, Kent. Went down, had a look round, thought it was the bees knees. Like, yeah, bit of outside lighting. What, you want 5 alarm? Yeah, no problem. Do you know what I mean? Writing it all down. Gone back to Andy, and he's gone, mate, it's too good to be true, be careful. So I'm thinking, well, he don't want no to do with this then. So let's find the next person. And I ended up getting a team. We ended up winning the job. The guy who owned the facilities management company, I can honestly say I have so much respect for him. He sat me down, he taught me business, he told me what I needed to price, he told me where I needed to be at to be competitive, and showed me the ropes of business really. And from that day, from the Kent job starting, I went from being a one-man band to a company overnight. I got Jodie, shout out Jodie, who was my sister-in-law. She'd fresh out of uni, just done a business management degree. I was like, Jodie, I need you to come do my paperwork. There was so much health and safety. And because I was on the job as well, it was really difficult for me. So we literally just grew and grew and grew. And it just went from showroom to showroom to showroom, 2 years solid.
Wow. That's quite a common, again, I've got similar, I can relate to that. Because I've had those conversations with my wife when opportunities come up.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is a sounding board, isn't it? So you're like, do you think this is a really good idea? I reckon it's like pucker, they're going to just do us over sort of thing. Yeah. I think we've all had that. Do you have that, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jess is in the business as well, so she's office manager and has a share of the business. And yeah, you need those people in your life, because you can end up kind of being snowballed into it all, and before you know it, you're in a position where you don't want to be, but you need almost someone that's looking in at it and going, whoa, hang on a minute, have you considered this? I mean, you might still go for it, but it's that conversation. Even friends in the industry that really great Renewables podcasts to listen to, maybe, and, things like that, where just we have these conversations with people to actually go, what do you think of this? And
sometimes though you can talk yourself out of an opportunity. That's why it's really interesting listening to you, because you had those doubts, but you did it, and the upside of that experience sound like they were massive for you. Like,
so as we were rolling with this, I was like, I want more, because I'd probably had a taste of the money. We was getting paid amazing payment terms, and when I say amazing payment terms, I didn't have the money to start that project and pay. I think at the time the first one was 5 lads, so it was like 6 including me on this fit out for 12 weeks. These lads wanted paying weekly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Aidan, I'll come do it with you, but I want paying weekly. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Mum, can you lend me some money? Dad, can you lend me some money? That sort of like questions, you know what I mean? And the facilities management company said, don't worry about it, we'll fund it. I'm like, what? What do you mean you'll fund it? He's like, we'll just pay you weekly. So they had really good payment terms with the main contractor, and then he just kind of reciprocated that down to me, which was amazing. Like, there's not many people in the industry like that at all, which is why I owe him so much and I've got so much respect for him.
Yeah.
We still do work for him. They've just slowed down. So he's got his own guys who do bits for him, but we've got a couple of tenders in for him and we've got a good relationship. He came to my wedding, etc. He's a good guy. So yeah, we started that and I just wanted more. I'd done solar, very, very small scale. And when I say small scale, I mean I'd done it for a friend. And then I self-taught it, if you like, which is pretty mental. But I self-taught it on a scale of, that's an MC4. This is how you make it off. I think the first inverter I played with was, I think it was a Solace. String inverter, 3.6 or something. A company basically approached us, again off LinkedIn. I have used LinkedIn to influence myself, influence others, push how well we're doing, sometimes not doing that well. But I just think you've got to be in it to win it, you know?
Yeah. You've got to be present on those platforms.
100%.
If you're not there having that,
100%.
getting the exposure. I use LinkedIn a lot as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Brilliant tool. I've met some amazing people on there. And I just think if you're relevant and you're just honest with people, for me, honesty is the best policy. Like I sit here now, there's probably things I'm saying now, what some of my, I don't know, main contractors might hear and go, oh my God, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, but it is what it is.
That contract we just given you.
Yeah.
Cancelled.
Been in the industry 7 years, you idiot.
Yeah.
But no, we got a contract with a, what would I class them as? Eco-Power company. Did all different types of technologies. Yeah, they did all different. They're really good setup, to be fair. And literally just said to me, can you do 15 installs a week for us on solar? Sun sync system, all able to pays. I was like, yeah, of course we can, no problem. Went over for a meeting with him, walked out of there, me and Jody went, walked out of there and said to Jody, right, now we need to find some people to do it. Luckily, I could afford to buy some vans because the contract I was doing, and it was like, okay, now I've got to find some guys. So just recruited some guys. We started that contract probably 4 weeks after we'd said that. Did that for about 9 months, which cemented us, I think, in the industry of solar. An opportunity just came. And opportunities came from LinkedIn. We did our first commercial, which was like about 88 kilowatt. And at this point, I was always on the tools. I wasn't in the office or anything like that. I was always on the tools and just driving the company forward with Jody in the background, doing the paperwork side. There was a lot of paperwork for the solar side, for the domestics that we were doing, an awful lot of MCS paperwork, which I now know about, which I didn't back then. I was like, oh my God, there's this much paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm asking my guys to do this on site. Now they'll do it when they get home. And you just, do you know what I mean? You kind of don't believe it's there till you're doing it.
Yeah. Such an important part of,
yeah.
of I think any industry really is. I feel like the people that have started on the tools and that have seen, as I call it, like in the trenches. I often say to like the guys in our office, I say, I'm in the trenches this week, so you're going to have to kind of like just sort things out a little bit because I'm just snowed under with this sort of stuff. But I feel like you do get kind of a bit of an empathy to everyone else in all areas of your business if you try and at least have some areas, some experience in all areas of your business. You 100%. Kind of go, I know what your pain is with doing those DNOs, or I know the pain of doing that MCS side of things, and what have you. So when you took on these Eco-Power projects where they want you to do 15 a week, did you ever did ever that doubt kind of creep into your mind where you kind of went, you know, what if we get a lot of guys that are just rubbish at their jobs and all of that? Or was it just kind of a snowball where you just kind of kept going?
Like anything, Sam, we had rubbish. Do you know what I mean? We had some rubbish. But I think and without bigging myself up, what really stood out from us to maybe someone else who that said contractor had used is I was always on the phone. I was always responsible for the jobs. If one of my guys had messed up an install, I'd be there Saturday to sort it out. If a customer weren't happy because a roof tile's cracked, what they've not sealed or they've not replaced and they can see it, or the bird mesh is hanging out and it's not done properly, I'd be there on Saturday, or I'd be there Sunday, or I'd be there on an evening. And I just put my all into everything I did to know that if I build these relationships based on trust, we all know, right? People buy people. Do you know what I mean? And these people would buy me. And luckily for me, they did. We've still got now clients from Bristol, Kent, Aberdeen, and these clients of ours, they bought me, but I were always there, and I'm still always there now. Even for what we're doing now, I was always there, and I still am always here. I've got the same phone number. They still ring me, which sometimes is slightly annoying because I've got people in positions now what can deal with that sort of stuff. But I'm still relevant because at the end of the day, this company's built on trust and it's built on reputation, and that's built from me. So I'm really, really proud, and I push that to my lads every day. I push it to the ops director every day. I push it to the project managers every day, because it's like, you're working for the company, but this company's built from me. So don't let me down, because if you let me down, I'm then going to get offended. And it's not about you've let the company down, you let yourself down, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? You're working for a company, you've just let yourself down. So we had the rubbish. We really did have the rubbish. I've had guys drill through soil stacks and not seal it, not replace it, not fix it. 5 weeks later, it's absolutely stinking house out, and you think, what are you doing? I've had a guy seal a wall, which was a magnolia wall internal. He drilled into the loft, drilled into the bedroom. Fine, accidents happen, pretty stupid, but he then sealed it on the inside, magnolia, with white silicone, and tried sanding it back. So you can imagine rubber silicone when it's gone off, trying to sand it. Made a right ash of it, but then left it. And we know they're out there, we know you've got them. And I think other companies know everybody might have one or two and experience them. I think it's about how you deal with it.
That's the worry for us now. We're kind of at that stage where I was speaking to you before, that we're looking at growing the solar side of things that we're doing, the volume's there. But at the minute, my team's tight. I'm related to most of the people. I trust them implicitly, and I've trained them all to work in a way that I want. If we open that up, that's like a big step for me, I think, with the solar side of things. But I think you're right. As long as you've got the kind of customer service on point, people understand. And it's not just your staff, it's the equipment as well. We've had that with inverters going wrong. You've got no control of that. That's just something that can happen. The bird guard falling off. I saw your stories. Now I'm really worried about some of our bird guard. it's stuff that can just happen, isn't it? But as long as you are there with your customers, they will understand, I think. So that's a fear we all have as business owners, that maybe we don't need to worry about quite as much as we do.
I think contractors build things up in their head more than in reality what they play out to be, and I feel like that then leads to contractors almost trying to ignore the problem. So if you feel like we've drilled through a wall, the customer's not in at the minute, and it's broken, something like we were working in a mosque and we broke a picture frame, just turned around, knocked it off the wall, smashed it. Instead of kind of like just hiding it under in a box somewhere or whatever, just get hold of it, take it to the main man there and go, look, really sorry, we've broken this. If you've not got a spare one or whatever, we'll replace it. People, if you hit those things head on, or if it's not you on site as the owner of the company or whatever, or supervisor, if you say to your members of staff, look, anything that happens, don't hide it, just bring it to us, and there's nothing that can't be sorted, then if those issues are brought to people's attention straight away, people are actually really relieved that you told them, and it builds trust, because the customer then knows that if anything does happen during the installation, you're going to report it. They aren't going to be left with this, that and the other wrong with the property that they don't know about, and they find out 6 months down the line because you're too scared to actually raise it with them. So I think actually it's a lot of what you build it up in your head that you think is going to happen, rather than actually going, sorry, this has happened, we'll do what we need to do to actually fix it. That's been my experience, because I've been on both sides where I've been terrified to tell a boss or a customer that something's happened, which I won't go into now. But there have been
100%.
mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
It's happened.
It's the industry, isn't it? That's what we're in.
Yeah.
I had a hole saw fly out the end of a drill once and smash. I think it was a 1,700 quid bath.
Oh.
And I was like, ouch. You can't even hide that, even if you wanted to. It's like not going anywhere, is it?
If we're going to be going sharing, I was fitting a socket on the end of an island on a bespoke kitchen. Like this kitchen's like 90 odd grand or whatever. And the contractor I was subbing to told me, and I will die on this pedestal, told me it was a double socket he wanted there. So I fitted a double back box. In fact, apparently it was supposed to be a single socket, and it was 100% my fault. But when I'd multi-tooled it out, it then took the back out of the cupboard that was on the other side of the island, right at the top. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep that night, but the next right at the end of the day, the next day when he came back outside, I was just like, I've got to get it out the way straight away, otherwise it's going to ruin my life. I told him, he had a look, called me, whatever, and then told the client. The client was like, we'll just never ever see that. 'Cause it wasn't much, but yeah. So shout out to that contractor, which I won't name. But these things happen, and the averages are always going to be against you when you're in so many different people's properties, and dealing with so many different challenges on site. I think domestic is a real big one for that, because commercially, we've discussed this before with Josh, I think, where you're in a big plant room with loads of containment, and there's not really much to break, really, when you're in a person's house, and there's pictures, and there's carpets, and there's pots, and all sorts of different things. Then the chances of something like that happening are quite high.
Or they're watching you. It's the
No, the watchers.
They're the ones.
The watchers.
Don't even start with that.
Customers, if you are listening to this or watching this, just take a step back. Take a step back. Just let us do the job.
Judges after.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, we've pulled you off topic. So you're doing all this Eco-Power work. You've got these lads on site. Some of them are doing better than others.
Yeah.
And what have you. And then what happens? Does that come to a bit of a stop, and you take a different direction?
No, that's just it. Just the domestic for us just kind of slowed down because the commercial took off. Then we were getting inquiries about, can you do this commercial project? Can you do this? Can you do that? I think the first one we did was for a contractor, labour only contract in York on a big office block, 80 kilowatt, really nice job. Had a nice unistrut frame on top. It was a flat roof system, and it was a really nice job. Really enjoyed it. I worked on it. The lads worked on it. We really, really enjoyed it. And I think from that day, we'd cemented ourselves again in a different industry. So then LinkedIn got pushed, socials got pushed, inquiries started flowing. Next thing you know, can you do this? Can you do that? Big contractor who uses us up all the time. Really good relationship with them. And I will shout them out because they're brilliant. Solar Sense UK. They're from Bristol. Absolute brilliant contractor for us. They've been brilliant. Ollie there. The guys there, Ollie, James, project managers, they are all some of the nicest people I've ever met. You ring them for help, they'll help you. And they used us on a job, I think it was about 280 kilowatt. We'd done a couple of bigger ones before that, 150, I think a 180. But this was the biggest we'd done. It was in Dover. I was a bit reluctant to take it because of the journey. It was miles away. It was a lot bigger than, it was 100 kilowatt bigger than we'd ever done. Me being me, I was like, it's same but bigger. No problem. Have we got more time? Yeah. Have we got more money? Yeah. Right, let's do it. So we went down there, team of, I think it was about 6 of us. And we actually got it smashed off in it was 2 weeks and a weekend. And then we had to wait for a witness test because we couldn't power it up. So there was a return visit. Again, Solar Sense been brilliant, paid us for a return visit. And we just flourished, mate. We just flourished again in a different industry, while then still doing our fit-out work, while then still doing domestic work. So the team grew.
What sort of numbers were you at with the team then?
We were about 10 to 14 then. We got all the way up to like 18. A couple of them subcontractors, but full time. We've never subbed out to a company. Like we've gone like business to business, do you know what I mean? And gone like, for instance, at the time it was ALW Electrical to Oval. We'd never gone, can you just do that project for us? Because obviously in the labour only, the margins are still quite tight because you've got to be competitive. Because if someone's doing it at, I don't know, for argument's sake, £120 a kilowatt, someone's doing it at 110. Or you've got a roofing team willing to do it at 50 when really it should be 70. So we never really had that trouble though. Again, people by people, and I built a really good relationship with Solar Sense there. And again, if anyone's looking to get solar, although we do it now, and Oval, if you're down that way, they're brilliant contractor, really good people.
So they were basically selling the jobs, and then they were saying to you, right, we've got this job in Dover.
Yeah.
It's 200 kilowatts. You've already told them it's X amount per kilowatt.
Yeah.
And then they've basically said, can you fit it in?
Yeah.
So you're basically labour only on these jobs.
Labour only.
So was that quite nice? Because obviously if you're running the domestic side, and there's other kind of other areas that your company is working in, was it quite nice having a labour only section, so you're not worried about bills for materials?
Yeah, exactly. The cash flow weren't an issue because we were getting paid on completion, or if it was a 4-week project, we'd get an interim, and they were really good. We were really lucky in that sense that it was that easy. And the guys who we had on them projects have been absolutely brilliant. Some are still with us now, some have left, some have moved on to project management jobs, which is great because we've created something, do you know what I mean? And then more contractors come. You share something on LinkedIn, they allowed us to share their stuff, name it, give it out, and it just kept coming.
I'm just thinking of that like meteoric growth, because you were saying it was like 2020 when you first sort of got going, and then that was 2022, 23?
That was the first one for them, probably 2020, end of 22.
It's not a long period where you've gone from just you to nearly 20 people.
Yeah.
And all the pressure that brings, because you're the one you're not just paying your own mortgage, are you, with your own family? You're looking after all these people through your decisions and things, and the pressure that puts on you. Because
the way I am, and as much as I am proud of what I've done, I'm very simple in the sense of finances and figures, for instance. I want to see it on a bit of paper. I want to see that's what that is. X is Y, and it equals Z. Do you know what I mean? And for instance, and just talking figures from the smaller growth, we're a lot different now because we're a lot bigger entity now. But if I had a monthly overhead, or at the time it was all weekly, everything was weekly, but it was like everyone was paid week in hand, so you had a week to get it in. If we were going week by week, we were struggling. And we were never like that because of the contracting that I'd done with the commercial fit outs. So I was just really straight with it. And because I was new to business as well, I never knew what margins were. I didn't have a clue. It was like, oh, you need to make 20%, you need to make 7%. Oh, you're adding on to materials. I didn't know. So I was just learning on the job and self-teaching myself. And realistically, social media and being a good person has built me as a contractor, as a business owner, and now as a managing director. And when I say that, I mean, like, if we had an overhead, a company overhead of 30 grand, I knew we had to earn 30 grand. If we earned 30 grand, I weren't eating, so we needed to earn 32 grand. And it was that simple. It was like, Jodie, we need to earn this. She was like, mid-month, Aidan, you're at forecast, I don't know, you're at 26, and I'm like, oh, beauty, we've got a 6 grand job there, 3 grand job there, because we were like doing 4 different streams of work.
Yeah.
So it was really, and that's just how we carried on. As I then learned business, I then went into different strategies and learned about strategies. Read books. I say read books. Audio books are brilliant because I just listen when I'm driving, and I learned about strategies then, and then I realised, actually, I'm not good on the tools in terms of, I'm a good electrician, and I know I am, because I'm very proud of what I do, and I'm neat, tidy. If I've done a cable run or containment run, it's got a bend in it, I'm that person who will take it down and work an extra day to put it straight. That's just how I am. That's just the gift I've been given. But I knew being on the tools weren't my strong point. I knew that I had more and wanted more. As soon as I started learning about business strategies and customer-facing strategies and sales strategies and stuff, I started being obsessed with that. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like, I'm going to try that one this month. I'm going to try that for 3 months. And we just took the business step by step, month by month, to a different level. Every month we hit a new target. Every month we earn a better turnover. And there's people out there who say, you're a freak, mate. There's not many people out there who can do that. But it's just, what I try and get across to people is, nah, I was just driven. And I'm still driven now. Because I don't want to go from turning over 500 to a million. I want to go turning over 10 million. But not just about the money, just about the growth. Do you know what I mean?
The achievement of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not chasing the lifestyle that comes with the money, if you like. It's more,
no,
you
mate.
want to do it because you've done it. It's like a target that
Yeah,
you want to achieve,
yeah.
rather than the result.
Like I say, I want to get a degree.
Yeah.
That's not about anything other than my own self-achievement. I want to do my design for myself. I want to do CMI business level 7, management level 7. I want to do that. But it's all goal setting, which probably brings us on to probably the main reason I'm here, really, and on what I want to spread out is, in terms of mental health. And when I say that, my past experience, I struggled when I got out. Like I say, as much as people might think, yeah, you flourished, mate, you've done amazing, oh, you must be loaded, I think, mate, you don't know what goes on in my head on a daily basis, mate. I don't sleep, mate. But it's about just being you and pushing you.
So we're going to leave this one here for now. It was a very long and powerful podcast with Aidan, and I wanted to break it into 2 parts because we were pushing towards a couple of hours in the end, and I don't want people to miss the important things that Aidan's got to speak about. Please do look out for episode 2 coming next week, where it gets even more in depth about Aidan's backstory. And I want to give a massive shout out to my co-host Sam, who was running on fumes coming to record this episode at Apprentice 121 HQ. He'd been in Wisbech, he'd been running around backwards and forwards all over the place. So putting these together is no easy task when you are a busy business owner, as Sam is. So massive respect and thanks to him, and huge thanks to Aidan for coming in to chat with us on this episode. If you've got any comments about any of the things we've spoken about so far, please do drop them in below, and look out for episode 2, which will be out on the following Thursday, where, as I said, we're going to get in even deeper to Aidan's backstory, the things he's achieved and what he's got coming in the future. Catch up with you on the next one.